Can you believe a pregnant woman in severe pain was turned away from a hospital just because she was black? This isn't a movie. It's real. And it happened right here in America to a woman named Danielle Brooks. That afternoon in Atlanta, the heat was blistering. Danielle parked outside the hospital, her hands trembling as she clutched her belly. The pain wasn't like Braxton Hicks. It was deeper, sharper, rhythmic. She knew she was out of time. It wasn't the hospital she'd registered with, but it was the closest. And she was in pain. That should have been enough. Danielle stepped into the lobby. The blast of cold air from the AC didn't ease the ache in her stomach. She gripped the counter, forcing her voice out through chattering breath. I'm 8.5 months pregnant. I'm having severe cramps. Please, I think something's wrong. The woman at the reception desk didn't look up right away. Her fingers kept tapping on the keyboard. After a moment, she finally glanced at Danielle, eyes scanning her from head to toe. Do you have an appointment? No, but I need to be seen. I'm in a lot of pain. Do you have an OB/GYN here? No, I go to Northside, but that's across the city. I couldn't keep driving. I've been in pain since this morning. I just want to check if the baby's okay. The receptionist smirked, glanced past Danielle, then muttered, You think this is an ER? We don't take walk-ins, especially not with no records. A young nurse walking by paused immediately when she saw Danielle. She looks really unwell. Do we have a room available? The receptionist shook her head slowly, then leaned in and spoke just low enough for Danielle to hear. I don't think we should prioritize her kind. Danielle froze, like she'd just taken a punch to the chest. She steadied herself. What did you just say? The receptionist shrugged, unfazed. I'm just being realistic. You showed up without a record, without private insurance, on Medicaid. We don't really have a policy for patients like that. Danielle's eyes widened. She tried to stay calm. You're refusing to see a pregnant woman near full term just because I don't have the right insurance? I'm not refusing anything. I'm saying this isn't a place people can just walk into expecting care. You're treating me this way because I'm black. The woman raised her eyebrows and looked over at a white couple who had just entered. We don't discriminate. There are procedures here. If you'd like, you can call an ambulance or go to the facility where you're registered. Danielle turned to the nurse, the young woman still standing nearby, looking helpless. Can't you help me? The nurse bit her lip. I don't have the authority. I'm really sorry. No one checked the baby's heartbeat. No one offered Danielle a seat. Heavily pregnant, drenched in sweat, she was left standing in the middle of the hospital lobby as if her existence was an inconvenience. From a distance, an older black man quietly raised his phone and began filming. Danielle walked out through the glass doors, frozen in the parking lot. Not from pain, but from shame. She didn't collapse. But if she had, who would have been held responsible? Danielle sat quietly in the driver's seat, not sure how long her hands had been trembling. One hand rested on her belly, feeling the pain return. Slower this time, but deeper. She pressed the call button, right hand holding the phone, left hand covering her mouth, as if saying it out loud would make it worse. Hello? Malik? Hey, are you okay? Are you at the hospital? Yeah, I'm at Valley Hill, but what? You got inside, right? They wouldn't see me. They said, I don't have a record there. No appointment. What? You're in pain, aren't you? I told them that. They looked at me and said they don't take people like me. Those were their exact words. Stay where you are. I'm coming. Right now. She ended the call and let the phone fall into her lap. A quiet wave of anger was rising inside her chest, but she was too drained to react. 5:19 p.m. Valley Hill Hospital parking lot. A black SUV pulled in fast. Malik jumped out and rushed to his wife like the car was on fire. How bad is the pain? Are you cramping? Bleeding? Not bleeding, but I can't stand much longer. He opened the passenger door and helped her in gently, placing his hand on her belly as if to make sure their baby was still holding on. What did they do to you? His voice cracked. It wasn't just the refusal. It was the way they looked at me, like I was begging, like I was a burden. Malik shut the door and walked around to the driver's side. His grip on the steering wheel turned his knuckles white. They didn't speak for nearly 10 minutes. Danielle leaned back, eyes on the sky through the windshield. It was starting to dim. Her heart was still racing. What if something happens to the baby? Malik didn't look at her, but his voice softened. I'm not going to let that happen. No way. You and the baby will be okay. Danielle turned her head, lips pressed tight. I don't want this to just go away. What if it had been someone else? Someone with no one to call? Malik nodded slowly. I know. 6:14 p.m., South Grove Community Hospital. As soon as they stepped inside, a white nurse rushed over to help Danielle. She didn't ask for insurance. She didn't ask if Danielle had an appointment. She just said, We'll check you right away. How far along are you? 35 weeks. And I've been cramping since this morning. Danielle was taken in for an ultrasound, blood pressure check, fetal monitoring. After about 40 minutes, the doctor walked in, calm and steady. You and the baby are okay, for now, but you're showing signs of mild preeclampsia. You got here just in time. We'll need to keep you under observation. Danielle lay on her side, hand resting on her belly. Malik sat beside her, eyes locked on her face since they arrived. Then his phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. Sorry to bother you. I was at Valley Hill earlier today. I recorded the moment the receptionist refused to treat your wife. I think you should have it. Malik opened the video. 47 seconds. Low quality, shaky hands. But the sound was clear. Too clear. We don't accept people like her. No records. Medicaid. Shows up unannounced. She doesn't belong here. Malik didn't say a word. He stood up, stepped into the hallway, and began typing. Later that night, at 10:12 p.m. Today, my wife, Danielle Brooks, 35 weeks pregnant, was denied medical care at Valley Hill Hospital. They didn't check her blood pressure, didn't ask her name, just looked at her and said, We don't accept people like you. This is America, 2023. Is this how we treat black mothers? Please watch this video and do not stay silent. He posted the clip with hashtags. Justice for Danielle. Systemic racism. In healthcare. Valley. Hill must be held accountable. By midnight, the post had been shared over 20,000 times. Dozens of comments from people with similar experiences flooded in. The most viral response came from @TruthTalk Tasha, a black nurse with nearly 1 million followers on TikTok. I've seen this with my own eyes. Women like Danielle are ignored, sent away, treated as less just because of their skin or their income. We will not be silent anymore. The comment section lit up with thousands of hearts and reposts. Among them was a public comment from an organization called Care for Everybody, based in New Orleans. Danielle is not just a victim. She's a voice for the thousands of black women our healthcare system has failed. Malik, we want to offer your family legal support. Inside the hospital room, Danielle was still asleep. Malik returned to her side, set his phone down, and gently held her hand, then whispered, like a promise, "This will not be forgotten. I promise." The next morning, Malik returned to Valley Hill, the place that had turned his wife away just one day earlier. He came alone. No reporters, no lawyers, just him, a printout of the words spoken in that viral video, and a look in his eyes that was no longer anger, but resolve. As Malik approached the main entrance, a security guard stepped in front of him, tall, arms crossed across his chest. "Sorry, sir. You'll need an appointment or a referral to go in." Malik's voice was low but steady. "My wife, Danielle Brooks, was the pregnant woman turned away here yesterday. I'm here to speak with someone responsible." "I understand, but you can't come in without going through the proper process. If you don't leave, we'll have to call the police." Malik didn't move. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a sheet of paper. In bold print, "We don't accept people like her." The exact quote from the video now circulating across social media. People in the lobby had started to notice. Everything went unusually quiet. That's when an older doctor stepped out from the hallway. Gray hair, thin frame, glasses sliding down his nose. His name badge read, Dr. Howard Rivers. He looked at Malik, then at the guard. "He's coming with me." "But doctor, he doesn't have—" "I said, he's coming with me." The guard stepped aside. Malik walked into the lobby. A young receptionist was on duty. Not the same woman as yesterday. Her face paled slightly as Malik approached. He placed the paper down on the counter. "I want to speak to whoever was in charge yesterday, or anyone who can answer for this." She didn't respond. Moments later, a young nurse stepped out from the back, her hair tied up, uniform wrinkled from a long night shift. It was Kelsey, the one who had tried to speak up the day before. She stepped forward, eyes nervous, but steady. "I saw your wife yesterday. I asked Luan if we had a room, but I couldn't do more." Malik looked her dead in the eye. "You saw my wife shaking in pain. You saw her standing there scared, and you said nothing." Kelsey lowered her head. "I know. I didn't have the authority at the time, but I wrote it all down. I submitted it in the report to the night supervisor. And then, I don't know if anyone actually read it." Malik nodded, voice low. "My wife could have lost our baby, and this won't be forgotten." A man in a white button-up shirt appeared, introducing himself as Craig Fulton from Internal HR. He invited Malik into a private room for a calm discussion. Malik shook his head. "I don't need a private meeting. I'm not here for apologies. I'm here to say this. A pregnant black woman was treated like she didn't matter, and people here need to understand. This cannot keep happening." The air in the lobby chilled. People stopped moving. Some looked away. Others lowered their heads. Dr. Rivers stepped forward, voice deep and weary. "I have worked in this hospital for almost 30 years, and I've seen this happen more times than I can count. Women of color without private insurance routinely get marked as non-urgent, passed along, ignored. If we keep pretending it's not happening, this system will keep hurting or killing, and no one will ever be held responsible." No one responded. Malik gave him a quiet nod and walked out. That afternoon, Nurse Kelsey sent an email to the civil rights organization Care for Everybody, offering to provide internal documentation for an independent investigation under the condition of anonymity. A few hours later, Dr. Rivers submitted a formal report to the hospital board, requesting a full review of the intake procedures for uninsured and undocumented patients. No one knew what would happen next, but at least silence had been broken. On the afternoon of August 18th, a 47-second video was reposted by a popular TikTok account within the Black American community. At Truth Talk Tasha, a nurse with nearly 1 million followers. In her video, the clip played without edits, accompanied by this voiceover. This is what so many Black women face every day when they walk into a hospital. Not trusted, not prioritized, not treated like human beings. Valley Hill, you let a pregnant woman walk out in pain, and now everyone is going to know about it. Within 24 hours, Tasha's video had reached over 3.4 million views. The independent news outlet Liberty Journal, known for its civil rights investigations, published the first in-depth article. No records, no rights. A pregnant woman denied care at Valley Hill Sparks. Questions about racial bias in healthcare. The article not only recounted Danielle's story, it also featured interviews with 3 other women who had experienced similar treatment at hospitals across the country. One of them said, "I remember I was bleeding, and they still told me to sit and wait because I didn't have a file." Exactly like Danielle. The hashtag number sign, Justice for Danielle, started trending across southeastern U.S. Twitter feeds. The nonprofit organization Care for Everybody, which advocates for equal access to health care, issued an official statement. Danielle Brooks is not just a mother who was turned away. She is the face of a system that desperately needs change. We have received internal confirmations from staff at Valley Hill. An investigation will begin, and we will provide free legal support to Danielle's family if needed. At the same time, a group of medical students in Atlanta held a candlelight vigil outside Valley Hill Hospital. They carried handwritten signs that read, "Healthcare is not a privilege. It is a human right." 3 days after the incident went viral, Valley Hill Hospital was forced to issue a statement on its website. "We are conducting an internal review related to a maternal patient case on August 17th. We are committed to non-discriminatory care in all forms." But the statement didn't mention Danielle's name, and no apology was issued. Public reaction was swift. Empty promises don't save lives. This is damage control, not accountability. And Danielle? She remained under observation at South Grove Hospital. Doctors said the baby was stable, but her blood pressure still needed monitoring. Malik stayed by her side every day. He never left. A reporter showed up to request an interview. Danielle declined to appear on camera. She simply wrote a single line on a piece of paper. "I don't want to be famous. I just don't want anyone else to go through what I did. If one video can make a hospital rethink how it treats patients, then I won't stay silent." By the night of August 21st, the original 47-second clip had been shared over 12 million times across platforms. From a woman who was denied care, Danielle had become a question no one could ignore. Our skin color, records, and income now deciding who gets saved and who gets left behind. On the morning of August 22nd, the organization Care for Everybody sent an official letter to the Georgia State Health Board demanding a full investigation into the patient intake process at Valley Hill Hospital. Attached to the letter was a detailed statement from Nurse Kelsey, the one who had witnessed the incident, along with the original unedited video clip. For the first time, a government body stepped directly into the case. News broke from an internal source. Dr. Rivers, the physician who had allowed Malik into the hospital and publicly criticized the system, had been temporarily suspended for violating internal protocol. Public backlash erupted online. So the one person who spoke up gets punished. Tell us again, who's really the problem here? Over 50,000 people signed a petition demanding his reinstatement in just 3 days. On the night of August 24th, Danielle began showing signs of early labor. She was rushed back to South Grove Hospital. Malik drove through the night, hands clenched on the wheel. When they arrived, the staff was ready. A doctor calmly said, "We're going to take the best possible care of her." The labor lasted 14 hours. At exactly 10:26 a.m. on August 25th, 2023, a baby boy was born, healthy, 6 pounds, 13 ounces, pink skin, wide eyes. Danielle named him Justice Malik Brooks. No explanation needed. His name said it all. Under growing pressure, Valley Hill Hospital issued a public apology letter mentioning Danielle by name, admitting that staff made procedural errors during the patient screening process on August 17th. However, no specific individuals were named, and no disciplinary actions were announced. Malik posted a short statement. "Apologizing is the right thing to do, but justice doesn't stop at a letter." The Georgia State Health Board issued a statewide directive requiring all hospitals to provide emergency response guidelines regardless of a patient's prior records, prohibit insurance-based discrimination during initial patient evaluations, retrain all staff on equitable access to health care, with emphasis on vulnerable communities. Danielle's story was officially incorporated into training materials for multiple healthcare systems. She left South Grove holding baby Justice, walking into the soft light of early autumn. She didn't give a statement. She just smiled, her hand tightly holding Malik's. A neighbor caught the moment on video, captioning, "A family returns home, not just with their first child, but with the belief that justice can begin with a single moment of being denied." Danielle never wanted to be a symbol. Malik never sought attention. But together, they became a voice. Not just for themselves, but for every person ever turned away at a hospital door because they didn't fit the system. And when baby Justice cried for the first time, it wasn't just a cry of new life. It was the cry of justice, finally being heard. Speak up. Don't stay silent. Danielle's story isn't the only one. There are countless others, turned away, dismissed, forgotten, simply because they didn't match the mold that the system was built for. If you or someone you love has ever faced injustice, discrimination, abuse of power, or neglect, just because of your race, gender, income, background, or status, don't carry it alone. Tell your story. Send it to hdhumanrights@gmail.com or leave a comment under this video. We will read every word, hear every detail, and if you're willing, your story will become part of a growing movement for justice and human dignity. You don't have to be famous to spark change. You just have to be brave enough to speak, because justice doesn't happen on its own. It needs a voice, and that voice might be yours.